Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Good morning if you're on the West Coast. Well, some of you might be overseas, but I'm going live today. I'm talking about some very interesting things happening with Grant Cardone. Now, some of you may know Grant Cardone from his 10X book. He has a book, actually, it's on my shelf right here. It's called The 10X Rule. And he's the author of the 10X Rule. He does like a lot of live business conferences. He's a real estate guru. He's a billionaire. I don't remember how many billions of dollars in assets that his firm has under management, but what I do know is that he basically started building funds. So he started investing in his own real estate. And then eventually he started building funds. So essentially he wanted to kind of get into the syndication game where he would build funds and then he would have investors into some of the funds that he was building. And he would look for target properties, find investors. And then about a few years ago, he got slapped with a lawsuit. So what are we doing? I'm going to take you through I'm going to take you through the lawsuit. So we're going to kind of break this up into a few different videos a few different live shows over the next few days. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a background and history of how we even got here. So if you are on the replay crew and you're watching this later, just come back. And this is the episode that you want to start with, right? This is part one of the Grant Cardone deposition. And then what I want to do after this is I want to take you through, I'm going to give you the history. I'm going to give you some timelines that will lead up to the deposition. And then we're going to start watching the deposition together. I just want to let you know from the beginning, everything that we're discussing comes from public court filings, published appellate opinions, the official class action notice. These are allegations. This still has to be litigated in a court of law. I do not know the result of what this will be if this goes to trial. This is a civil trial, and this has not been adjudicated yet. We are only watching the deposition together, and then as we watch the deposition, I will comment on it. The defendants deny all claims, and no court or jury has found any wrongdoing. So this is commentary and education from a business perspective, not legal or financial advice. I am not a lawyer. I am a businessman. I've been a businessman for over 2 decades. So that is the perspective that I am going to be watching this deposition from. I am not going to be watching it from the perspective of a attorney. So, but I know you're here for the business advice. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ping, and then after I do my short intro, I'm going to kind of just get into who the key players are and the defendants. All right. So let's get going. All right. So the key players and defendants. Okay. Here are the defendants. There are 4 defendants in this lawsuit. Cardone Equity Fund 6, which is Fund 6, which is the second of 2 real estate funds. It's a $50 million fund. It was opened 2 subscriptions, meaning you can invest in, you can pay to play, in October 2019. And that subscription or that investing round closed around June 2020. So this is kind of during just before COVID to just after COVID started, kind of like in the midst of COVID. The second defendant is Cardone Equity Fund 5, which is another $50 million fund that was raised from over 2,200 individual investors. And it was marketed as one of the largest regulation A+ real estate crowdfunding raises ever done via social media. And they completed the raise of this fund September 2019. So there was about a month between the time Fund 5 closed for $50 million and Fund 6 closed for $50 million in opened in October 2019. The third defendant is Cardone Capital, the actual investment arm. which is the real estate investment company that Grant Cardone founded. He markets crowdfunding multifamily real estate deals to everyday investors, and he collects money to buy apartment properties. And then the play is that he pays, or the goal here is that he pays monthly dividends on whatever their investment just happened to be. And then the fourth defendant is Grant Cardone himself. So he's a real estate investor, sales trainer, author of the 10X Rule, and social media influencer with a massive following. Let me take a look at his Instagram just to see how many followers he actually has. He has 5.1 million followers on Instagram. And then on X, let me see how many he has. He has 1.2 million on X. So 5.1 on Instagram, 1.2 million on X. And I don't have time to look at the other Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. But I just assume that he has probably more and more millions of followers. So millions of people follow him to get to, just to follow him for various reasons. I don't know why millions of people follow him. I don't have time to interview a million people, but they all have their particular reasons, whatever that is. Who's the plaintiff? The plaintiffs it starts with a man by the name of Louis Pino. Now, Louis Pino was the original plaintiff. So he was the original person that wanted to sue Grant Cardone and the four entities. So Louis Pino was an uncredited investor, uncredited everyday investor, exactly the audience Cardone was marketing to. He filed a class action lawsuit September 2020. So back in September of 2020, Louis Pino filed a lawsuit against Grant Cardone. Here's the problem. Louis Pino passed away during the initial litigation. And his daughter, Christine Pino, took up the mantle after he passed away. So she stepped in, and now she's carrying the case forward on behalf of his estate and the whole class action lawsuit. The third defendant is the class, right? So per the court, anyone who purchased or acquired an interest in the Fund 5 or Fund 6 through their public offerings, those individuals can be part of the class action, excluding the defendants and their people and anyone who opts out. So who are the other players? The other players are, first, Sussman Godfrey, LLP, who was a court-appointed counsel. Mark Seltzer is the lead counsel on the case. King and Spalding is the defense counsel for Cardone and the entities. The judge is John F. Walter, who was the presiding judge, and the presiding district judge. And then, of course, the other players are the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, who reversed their district court twice, keeping the case alive. So those are all the players. Let's give just a brief chronological timeline before we go into the deposition and watch Grant Cardone do his thing. Okay. So back in 2017, Cardone Capital was founded. It was launched by Grant Cardone. 2018, that during the review of what Cardone Capital was offering, the SEC, so the Securities Exchange Commission, staff sends a letter who questioned the basis for the fund's projected return. So they had like this famous kind of like 15% annualized return figure, and they asked in that letter, the SEC, for that the projections be removed from the offering circular. So Cardone Capital removed them from the paperwork, but per the complaint, the 15% pitch continued on Instagram and YouTube. And the investors were never told about the SEC's objections. So essentially, the SEC sent a flyer like basically you can't promise returns because anybody who is in finance or has been ever knows that it requires a disclaimer, and you can't promise anything, and you can't specifically say what a return is. When I was franchising my business, we couldn't even do it for the franchise. It was a bad move. And it's not that we couldn't show, for instance, what like a company store is making in the franchise disclosure document, but like if you're putting down any kind of return for any reason, and let's say that you accomplish that return, you can't even make it appear like you're promising a return to a person who might follow your footsteps, because the reality is that everything is different. So if I start a business and my business gets a return of 60% because I'm running it, you follow my footsteps and you get something like 10%, like that could be a problem. So over the years, there's been businesses, a lot of these rules are born from the fact that there have been issues over the years with investors promising all kinds of returns. And so they put rules in about what you can say, what you can't say, what you can talk about, what you can't talk about. And that's kind of like how that works. And, honestly, it is a good protection, especially for an investor who is, inexperienced, right? So an investor who's not used to it, someone who's unaccredited, and they don't necessarily have the capital to expend like accredited investors do if they, for instance, need losses somewhere for the year. So you just have to be very careful because everyone's level of sophistication is a little different. And what you don't want is, frankly, you don't want people investing in something that, on false promises. Because here's the other part. The other part is that, the government obviously considers it stealing if you're promising something that you can't deliver. And it kind of is. I'm not saying that that's what happened here. Remember, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and they will have a trial about this later. 2019, Fund 5 was raised. That was at $50 million, and it closed. And so there was a marketing blitz on social media videos basically entitled Breakthrough Wealth Summit. And there was also an alleged on-camera quote cited in the Ninth Circuit opinion where it said investors would, quote, walk away with the 15% annualized return, end quote. And you can quote, tell the SEC that's what I said it would be, end quote. So obviously a bit of a bravado there from Cardone, who was like guaranteeing that this would happen, essentially. It's a bad move. It's a bad move. I know sorry, I'll be honest, it was crazy. I know that it's tempting as a business owner or a business proprietor to want to sell and solicit and get the word out there about what you're doing. But here's the problem. Problem is that making these promises can land you in hot water. October 16th, 2019, Fund 6 opened. June 25th, 2020, Fund 6 closed. And then within 3 months, basically, there was a lawsuit filed. So September 16th, 2020, Louis Pino filed his class action in the Central District of California alleging violations of the Security Act of 1933, Sections 12A, 2, and 15. 2021, the district court in California threw the case out. They ruled that Cardone and Cardone Capital were not statutory sellers under Section 12A, 2. Essentially, that a social media promoter wasn't a seller of the securities. December 21st, 2022, there was an appeal done. Appeal just prior to that. But then the Ninth Circuit reversal. This is the first of 2 reversals that happened. Okay. The appeals court held that Pino plausibly alleged Cardone and Cardone Capital do qualify as statutory sellers, a landmark holding that mass social media solicitation can count. So a February 2023 campaign rule revived the claims about the 15% internal rate of return, distributions, and the debt statement, and sends the case back with leave to replead under the Omnicare standard. So that's apparently a standard that has been, settled law. Okay, 2023. Pino. Now this was his daughter, right? So remember, I told you that Louis Pino passed away. So his daughter kind of revives this about, like a few months later, filed a second amended complaint. The district court again dismissed the complaint. This time they ruled that by disclaiming fraud, Pino waived the ability to argue Cardone didn't believe in his own projections, that the SEC letter was publicly available anyway, and that the debt statements weren't material. So this went back to the Ninth Circuit Court. They reversed it. In a published opinion by Judge Margaret McCowan, the appeals court reversed the dismissal across the board. They said that Pino did not waive anything, adequately alleging Cardone subjectively disbelieved his own projections, which were also objectively untrue, and stated a valid omission claim over the undisclosed SEC letter. Critically, removing the projections from the paperwork after the SEC letter while still pitching them online can support itself the inference the projections lacked a reasonable basis. So they were saying that he was unreasonable in his exclamation that his funds would return what it returned. And then ultimately what ended up happening is they reversed it back. Okay, 2025, 2026, the case returned to the district court. So this was after, it looks like another kind of few months to a year. And then the district court certified the class. The court certified the class of the fifth and sixth fund, the public offering investors, and the official notice went out via the website CardoneClassAction.com. So that leads us to kind of like the next thing, what the allegations and claims were. So some of the allegations per the complaint was that what was promised was a 15% annualized return that was repeated in videos, Instagram posts, and live events. Monthly cash distributions were framed as reliable income. The claim that a $220,000 investment would become a $660,000 position in the fund. Access for everyday investors to deals normally reserved for the wealthy. And then, of course, Cardone's personal credibility. Quote, some people call me Nostradamus because I'm predicting the future, dude. End quote. And allegedly, what was disclosed, the offering circular had the return projections stripped out after the SEC questioned their basis. Then the investors were allegedly never told that the SEC objected to the 15% figure, which is a problem, or that it had to be removed. So essentially what they're saying is that after the SEC said that had to be removed, they never went and then took that information and told their investors. And then it said the complaint alleges that the funds' debt obligations were misstated. Investors weren't given an accurate picture of the leverage on the properties. So now they're saying that the plaintiffs are saying in this case that they weren't given an accurate picture of how much debt was on the properties when this came out. And then finally, it says that the property flow conflict. So Cardone acquiring properties personally and selling them into the funds using investor money. So I don't know what's going on there, but we will track this case and find out. So this is not a fraud case at all. So we have to just be careful This is a case more about liability for the offering and selling securities using materially false statements or omissions. And so that's a problem, right? So like essentially they're saying that he was not truthful in what he said about the returns on this. So that's kind of the basis of the lawsuit. They're not saying that they got defrauded per se. And the defense's position is that there were no false statements, no misleading omissions, and projections were opinions, and they were forward-looking, and that the SEC letter was a routine, publicly available part of the disclosure review process. So that is the premise right now as we go into the deposition. On July 15th, about 5 days ago, there was a deposition taken of Grant Cardone. This deposition is like a couple hours. So what I'm going to do today is we're gonna together watch about like a half an hour of it. I'm gonna break this up into segments, and then tomorrow what we'll do is tomorrow I'll go live again, and we will watch more of this deposition until we reach the second hour of until we reach the whole thing. So it's 2 hours in total. We'll watch the whole first half an hour of this, and then after about a half an hour, then we will peel off, and then we'll come back and continue in part 2 tomorrow. All right, so without further ado, let me share the screen. Make myself a little smaller here. Okay, here we go. So I hope you can hear that. Let me just make sure. Okay. All right, let's go.
This begins meeting at 4. We're back on the record. The time is 4:24 p.m.
Mr. Cardone, we're still looking at this action plan and written social media compliance manual.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I have the second part. Let me just take a look. Hold on one second. Let me just see. All right, I got it. 1 segundo.
We are now on the record. The time is 9:23 a.m. This is the video recorded deposition of the corporate representative. This deposition is being taken on Wednesday, July 15th, 2026.
Okay, I will swear the witness in now. Mr. Cardone, if you raise your right hand, I'm going to give you an oath.
Sure.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. Witness has been sworn. Record is open.
Good morning, Mr. Cardone.
Good morning.
You're the founder and CEO of Cardone Capital, right?
That's right.
I'm going to mark this as Exhibit 229. This is the amended 30B6 notice to Cardone Capital. In this case, have you seen this document before? And Mr. Cardone, you have to answer yes or no. Nods won't be captured by the court reporter.
I have it. Right.
Okay, you were nodding your head,
I'm just trying to acknowledge what you're asking me. Yes, yes, I've seen this.
Do you
This was part of the package I studied over the last weekend.
Do you understand that you have been designated by Cardone Capital to testify as a corporate representative on every topic in this amended deposition notice?
Yes, I designated myself.
No. You are also a named individual defendant in this action, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand there's going to be a separate deposition of you later this week in your
I'm
individual.
looking forward to it.
Okay. But for today, you're here as Cardone Capital's representative. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
you own 100% of Cardone Capital, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Cardone Capital's offering statements identify you as the controller and sole decision maker of Cardone Capital, correct?
Yes.
So when you testify here today about Cardone Capital's knowledge, that includes your personal knowledge as CEO and sole decision maker, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any person at Cardone Capital whose knowledge on the topics in here is greater than your own?
There is no one that has more knowledge on this topic than I do.
You personally made many of the statements that are at issue in this case, including statements in YouTube videos, Instagram posts, and other social media, correct?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, if I was the person doing the video, it would have been me personally doing the video.
So for those statements, you don't need to rely on anyone else's knowledge to explain what you meant or what basis you had for making them, correct?
Objective form.
What does that even mean? Objective form.
It means that there's in my view, a problem with her question.
The way she asked it. And despite the fact that you object to form, I still
go
answer.
on and answer. Yeah.
No, I don't need to check with anybody else about what I said.
Do you understand that the testimony you provide today as corporate representative is under oath?
Yes.
And everything you tell me today reflects both Cardone Capital's position and your personal understanding and belief, correct?
Absolutely.
If at your individual deposition later this week, you were to give an answer about any of the topics today that differs from what you tell me today, one of those two answers would have to be inaccurate, correct?
Objective form.
Say that again.
If at your
If I change my mind tomorrow on something I said today, no, it doesn't have to be incorrect.
No?
No, absolutely not.
So something you say later this week could conflict
Things could
with something
change.
you say today. So something you testified to in 2 days that's different from today, you believe that those two answers could be both correct. Is that right?
Yeah, I can't predict the future.
Okay.
It's an impossible question to answer. Every possible thing you asked me today, you asked me a different variation of it 2 days from now. It's ridiculous.
What did you do to prepare for your deposition today?
Oh my God. I have a college degree in this. I have spent at least, 60 or 70 hours on this without exaggeration.
Did you meet with Mr. and Mr.
I love spending time with these guys.
For how long did you meet with them?
I met with them yesterday. I met with them Friday. I met with them Thursday. I met with them Wednesday. I talked to them on the phone.
Right. And you reviewed documents to prepare for the
yes,
steps?
ma'am, I did.
About how?
Stacks. I'm sure you'll show all of to me. There's probably nothing you have in there I haven't seen. Be shocked. I'll be shocked if you guys in your firm pull up something I've not seen before.
Did any documents refresh your recollection as to the topics in this notice?
Refresh it? I don't know. I studied the material, so I don't know if I'm refreshed.
Did you speak with anyone other than Cardone Capital's lawyers in order to obtain facts that you needed for today's deposition?
I don't think so.
Did you read the amended complaint in this case?
What would that be? I don't know your legal terminology. What's the amended complaint look like?
It's the operative complaint that's on file in this
Can I see it, though?
case.
Can I see what I'm talking? What you're?
I don't have a
referring to?
copy of it with me today.
Is that the binder? Would that have been the binder?
No, it's a document that looks, in form, it looks like this one in the sense that it has the same names and the name of the case.
I can't answer if I've seen it or not if I don't know what.
Did you read any other materials that have been filed in this case
Like,
as part of the lawsuit? Any of the briefs, any of the motions?
again, I'm not a lawyer. Don't ever want to be a lawyer. So you have to tell me, show me what a brief is.
Yeah.
Show me what a motion is, because I don't know what those things are any more than I know what objection to form means.
Okay.
But I'm happy to, if you show it to me, I can tell you if I've looked at it or not.
All right. Cardone Capital is the manager of Cardone Equity Fund 5, correct?
Yes.
And as the manager, Cardone Capital has complete control over Cardone Equity Fund 5, correct?
Total, absolute control.
Is there a noisy beast living in your basement? It rattles, breathes gas, and eats energy.
Sorry, I don't have. I should get YouTube Premium, so I don't get all the ads. But I'll be skipping a lot of ads, I think, during this deposition.
Was the manager of Cardone Equity Fund 6, correct?
Yes.
And as the manager, Cardone Capital has complete control over Cardone Equity Fund 6.
Absolute and total control.
And Cardone Capital, in turn, is fully controlled by you, right?
Absolute and total.
Cardone Capital is the Class B member of Funds 5 and 6, correct?
If you say so, am I Class B? Yeah, yes. Let's go with the yes.
As the Class B member, Cardone Capital is entitled to a 35% share of the operating profits, right?
Yes, after return of capital.
After return of capital.
That's right. We talking about Fund 5 or Fund 4?
We're talking about Fund 5.
Okay. So keep in mind, sorry, Denise. And this is why your earlier question about today or Friday. Okay. So Fund 5, we get a 35% promote. It's an optional, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. I don't have to take it. I'm not required by law to take it. It's up to me. So if the asset were to make return capital is our plan to the investor, then we would share in 35% above that. We're entitled, however, by the operating agreement, 35% of all cash flow, 35% of all profits. So yes.
What percentage of fund?
So in Class B shares in an investment, just a FYI, I thought I would just kind of like make this point here. The commission charges for sales of like a Class B product are basically can be waived, right? And instead, they typically charge like a higher maintenance fee for the most part. And so usually, because the broker doesn't receive a commission up front, the Class B shares recoup those fees through like higher fees or annual operating expenses, right? So they just relate it to expenses, and then that's how they kind of make their money. I can see how some investors would kind of be concerned about that if they want the fund to be well capitalized, and I can see how others would not care because less fees up front mean that you can probably sell the equity for cheaper. So let's continue. But if you're a finance, you can fact check me. Put your comment in the thought. Also, what I noticed here is I saw the deposition of Marcus Lemonis, CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond and Camping World, and I can tell you that he seemed a lot less defensive than Grant does in this video. Grant seems like he's coming off a little bit defensive and a showman, which in some cases is okay. In other cases, it's going to make them, specifically lawyers, I think, this is my perception, push harder on the questions when you kind of like start to like try to be accurate to a point. So there are questions here he could just say yes to, but he just tends to explain, right? He just kind of goes into it.
Five's total capital did you personally invest?
I think I'm going to, as a member operating agreement, 35% of all cash flow, 35% of all profits. So yes.
What percentage of Fund 5's total capital did you personally invest?
I think I'm going to, as a member, for about somewhere between $5 and $8 million. I don't know what the percentage is right now.
Sorry, go ahead.
But there was a point in time where I own, and we do this on every one of our funds. The asset, we locate the asset. I go purchase this asset with my money. So there was a period of time where I owned 100% of Fund 4, Fund 5, Fund 6. What's the other fund that lays with Fund 6? 8? 8. All 47 assets that we purchased and the 29 previous. Before that, I owned 100% before I offered this to any family members, extended family, customers, partners, or investors. So on Fund 5, that was a raise. Fund 4 and Fund 5 were a raise of about $162 million. At some point, I owned 100% of the entire Fund 4 and Fund 5. We closed that transaction. We then offered to our public, at which time the non-accredited fund that you're interested in, Fund 5, would have then purchased positions after my $162 million commitment to the asset. They would have then come in at $10,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 investments to take a position at which point we trade them membership shares at the same price, by the way, that I entered that project at, with no markup and no middleman.
And so after you offered Fund 5 to investors, what is the total capital that you had in Fund 5?
Somewhere between $5 and $8 million.
And how about for Fund 6?
I don't know. As I sit here, it would be documented.
But you don't know the answer today.
As I sit here, I can't give you a number. Any more than the $5 to $8 million probably isn't the answer you want either.
Okay.
Because it's not exact, but it's documented.
I'm going to mark as Exhibit 230. This document I'm going to have to share over Zoom because I don't have it printed. Do you recognize this document?
Do I recognize? I mean, I recognize the first page.
These are interrogatory responses from defendants, including Cardone Capital, correct?
I have no clue.
It says at the top here, defendants amended objections and responses to plaintiff's first set of interrogatories, correct?
Yes, I see that.
And Cardone Capital is a defendant in this lawsuit, correct?
Yes.
So these are interrogatory responses from defendants, including Cardone Capital, correct?
I believe you. I'm not looking at the whole thing, so I can't.
Okay. Are you able to scroll down to page 3 where it says interrogatory number 1?
And I really wish this was paper, guys.
Most of today will be paper.
Okay, I see 3, but let me just check on 2 so I know what I'm looking at.
This
He's got the touch
is how
screen.
much I used to pay for home insurance, but not.
It is like way easier to see things on a laptop when you have a touchscreen, I feel like.
And then if you want to read
sure.
back through that.
That's a great idea.
So if you can look down at interrogatory number 1. Interrogatory number 1, identify each person involved in preparing or offering or approving the offering circular for Cardone Equity Fund 5 and for Cardone Equity Fund
This is
6.
that circular I told you about.
Right?
I see that.
When
Okay.
we started.
And the response is, subject to the general objections, defendants state that the persons responsible for preparing and approving the offering circulars for Cardone Equity Fund 5 and Cardone Equity Fund 6 were Susan and outside counsel Jillian Esquire, correct?
Okay.
Does Cardone Capital agree that's an accurate response? You signed the offering circular for Fund 5, correct?
Yes.
You also signed the preliminary offering circulars for Fund 5, correct?
Okay.
You signed the offering circular for Fund 6, correct?
Sure, I did.
And you also signed the preliminary offering circulars for Fund 6, correct?
I think I would have had to sign all that in order for us to be here today.
Mr. Cardone, you of course reviewed the offering circulars that you
Yes.
signed and submitted to the SEC, correct?
Yes.
And you of course approved the offering circulars that you signed and submitted to the SEC, right?
Yes.
So this response here, interrogatory number 1, it should also include you, correct?
No, I didn't prepare it. I didn't prepare this.
You didn't prepare what, Mr.
The offering circulars, I didn't prepare them.
You
No one would expect the founder of the company, guy running a company, a $5 billion company, to prepare the offering. That's why we have lawyers. That's why I hired Jillian. That's why I had Susan on staff. You know that.
Mr. Cardone, the question is identify each person.
So, in my opinion, like this is kind of like unnecessary. Just keep it brief. I think that the longer he answers, some of the stuff, if he says too much, could come back to him later. You just have to be careful. In that deposition with Marcus Lemonis, when he was in there, his answers were like 1 or 2 words. We're not sure if he didn't know, and he just kept it brief. He didn't admit that more than he had to. He didn't deny more than he had to. And that was, in my opinion, perfect because this stuff is going to come up later, I think.
That's why we have lawyers. That's why I hired Jillian. That's why I had Susan on staff. You know that.
Mr. Cardone, the question is identify each person involved in preparing or approving the offering circulars.
Yeah.
And you told me that you approved the offering
I
circulars.
said I prepared it. No, I said I approved it. And I
Correct.
said someone else prepared it.
Right. So if you approved the offering circulars for Fund 5 and for Fund 6, your name should be included here in response to,
I don't agree with that.
even though the question is identify each person involved in preparing or approving the offering circulars for Fund 5 and for Fund 6.
You have to have more than that. I mean, you guys can't be down to this. I did not, and you know it, and no one, everybody in the world is going to know. I didn't sit down. How many pages was the circular?
Mr.
30 or 40 pages. Nobody expects me to prepare that.
Mr.
I
Cardone?
signed it. I approved it.
Okay. You approved it.
Yeah. Susan, or it worked for me at the time, and Jillian was hired by us as a professional third party outside counsel.
I think you answered my question, Mr. Cardone, that you approved the offering circulars.
Thank you.
Let's talk about, we can go back to the amended notice of 30B6. That's Exhibit 229. Do you have that in front of you?
I mean, I wouldn't know if I have it in front of me or not, actually.
There's going to be a couple exhibits today that I show you that I refer back to throughout the deposition. So if we can keep them in front of you, do you know
Is
where
this
that?
it?
Yes, this is Exhibit 231. It's defendant's objections and responses to plaintiff's fourth set of interrogatories. So if we can look at Exhibit 229, the amended notice.
Yes, ma'am.
And we can go to topic 39. And topic 39 is the basis and support, if any, for the following test the water communications targeting investors in funds 5 and 6. And then there are a number of different subparts, correct?
I'm not up with you yet. 39.
Mm-hmm.
The basis of support. Okay. Communications with.
Mm-hmm. And if we can go now to defendant's objections and responses to plaintiff's fourth set of interrogatories. So Exhibit 231. Have you familiarized yourself with the responses in this document?
I'm sure I have, but at some point, all this starts to look the same.
I understand.
Yeah. Thank you.
If you go to page 20 of this document,
To the last page. That's interesting.
you signed this document, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you swore that you believed these responses in this document to be truthful and accurate, right?
100%.
And these are responses that were submitted on behalf of defendants, which includes Cardone Capital, correct?
Yes.
Can you turn to page 5 of this document?
I'm on it.
Okay. Interrogatory number 9. It says, and are you there? Interrogatory number 9.
I love this one.
Okay.
This is an awesome interrogatory.
Too much.
Great. It says, state the factual basis for and any assumptions made in connection with Grant Cardone's representation in an April 22, 2019 YouTube video that investors would walk away.
Okay. What would help me is if you use the numbers on the side, because then
Okay.
I'll know where to go to.
Okay. So starting at
I'm a
line,
numbers guy.
Yeah.
Come on.
and we'll talk numbers today. Line 2, it says, state the factual basis
Yes.
for and any assumptions made in connection with Grant Cardone's representation in an April 22, 2019 YouTube video that investors would, quote, walk away with a 15% annualized return. If I'm in that deal for 10 years, you're going to earn 150%. And that's from the second amended complaint, paragraph 1 and 56, including citations to documents that support this representation. If there are no such documents, state that there are none. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. You are familiar with the YouTube video referred to in this interrogatory, correct?
I would need to see the video again I put 12,000 videos on YouTube. I'll probably put as many on Instagram and another 12,000 on Snapchat. So probably.
Got to be careful with your social media. Excuse me. Even billionaires, what they put on social media, people watch, and this stuff lives forever. So when you're as popular as him, we talked about having him having millions of followers. Like that stuff lives forever. People share it, they clip it, So know what you're putting out there. That's why I read the disclaimer when we first started this thing.
12,000 on TikTok. So for you to ask me if I
You are here.
I would say though, if I could finish,
Go ahead. Finish, Mr. Cardone.
that if I did a video on YouTube, it was probably an instructional video. You guys think that every video that I do is about a fund or a raise. If I remember correctly on this video, and again, I would have to see it. I think I was doing an instruction to people how they could produce a 15% annualized, by the way, ARR, which would be very, very easy to accomplish. I've done 76 transactions in my lifetime since I was 31 years old. Every one of them has achieved that ARR. And many of them have achieved 10 times that, and even sometimes 30 times that. So what I'm saying here, and again, I'd have to see the video to testify that that's exactly what I was saying. If I'm in a deal for 10 years, you're going to earn 150% on your money. That would include cash flow, profits, write-offs, capital protection. And it was probably that video was probably 45 minutes long. So it would have been more than this one statement.
Mr. Cardone, you are here today as Cardone Capital's representative, correct?
Yes.
And as part of today, you received a notice of the deposition topics for today's deposition, correct?
Did I receive a deposition notice?
Yeah, that's Exhibit 229.
Okay.
And it asked the witness to be prepared to discuss in
Yes.
Topic 39, the basis and support, if any, for the following test the water communications targeting investors in Funds 5 and 6. And the very first communication in notes here is the representation in an April 22, 2019 YouTube video that investors would walk away with a 15% annualized return. If I'm in that deal for 10 years, you're going to earn 150%.
Yes.
Correct? But in preparing for your deposition today, you did not go back and familiarize yourself with that video. Is that right,
I didn't say that.
Mr. Cardone?
I said Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, you're asking me about one of 12,000 videos. Let me look at the video. I have a YouTube channel. It's still public data, by the way. We haven't taken any videos down. They're all available. That's how you pulled it.
Mhm.
So all my data is public. We're very transparent. I have done since 2014, been producing educational content for the regular everyday person so they could simply and easily understand how wealthy institutions and families have used real estate for years to invest their money. Rather than leaving it at a bank or 401k or an IRA or just simply buying a house, I have dedicated my life to helping people
Mr. Cardone.
know what I know. Well, let me
No,
finish,
Mr.
because you
Cardone,
asked me,
I am
okay?
gonna cut you off here.
Yeah, but you
because
cannot ask me about one of 12,000 videos.
Yes, I can, because
not
we have
fair.
asked you in this deposition to be prepared to
I am
discuss
prepared. I am better prepared than you are.
certain
No offense,
topics,
but-
Mr. Cardone. And so we expect that you are prepared to talk about the specific videos and social media
I'm
posts that are
happy to.
referenced in this notice.
And I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay.
See, here's the problem. In my opinion, this just makes him it gives them feedback and information about what they can ask him that he'll get defensive about. And this is how you end up making mistakes. And then they can come back to this later and hone in on these specific topics. And then, you might be in a world of hurt. But I'm just saying, I think that this is a mistake to go back and forth. I think he needs to keep it kind of simple.
And it is not fair though for you. I understand your goal. You have a job, and I appreciate that and respect you for it. Your job is to somehow make me look like I've done something wrong here today, and I haven't. I have paid out $600 million to the $2 billion that we have raised. I have paid $600 million to our investors. I have done for investors what has never been done before at scale. And you think I'm a target. If you simply show me the video, I'll take 1 minute to look at it and say, oh yeah, I know exactly what I was saying in this video. But without context, was it educational or was I raising money?
Mr. Cardone, you stated in this video,
Was it educational or was
Go
it
back
raising money? That's all I'm asking.
Mr. Cardone, your attorneys can ask questions at redirect, but I am in this deposition going to be asking you questions. And this deposition will go very long time if you are free form speaking, not in response to
I did a
questions.
5-day deposition, 5 days, 8 hours a day.
Understand,
So-
Mr. Cardone, but
We're not going
to do that.
Or 8 hours.
Yeah.
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 So I'm going to ask questions, and this will go a lot faster if you
I'm not
respond to
interested
my
in fashion.
questions.
This has been 4 years. I spent over $3 million defending myself in a bullshit case. Okay. So if you want to come in here today and say, let's go faster, I'm like, what are you talking about? This has been 4 years of my life. I've spent tens of thousands of wasted hours on a case that should never be brought against me. I've done nothing but help people.
Mr. Cardone.
So you trying to push me to go faster is completely, it's unprofessional.
What I'm asking you to do is listen to my question
I heard your question.
and respond to the questions that I ask. And if that is something that you are not able to do today, then I will have to call the court. Understood?
Call the courts.
Mr. Cardone.
I just want to see the video. Morgan, it's only fair. I have a YouTube channel. It's a public channel. It would take 60 seconds to pull it up.
Okay, Mr. Cardone, let's go back to interrogatory number 9. Okay? And that's
Same thing we were on.
exhibit,
Talking about.
yes, exhibit 231.
Okay.
And the response here says in the second paragraph, like other IRR and cash projections for funds 5 and 6, the reference statement was and continues to be supported by Cardone Capital's and Grant Cardone's extensive experience, history, and track record
Yes.
of success in the real estate industry, correct?
Yes, I see that.
So this response states that part of the basis for your April 22, 2019 YouTube video is Cardone Capital's and your track record, correct?
What it says is my extensive experience, 40 years, history, 76 transactions. Well, at that time, it wasn't 76, but it was probably 60. The track record of success, never having a failed project, never not hitting our expectations, never having a forbearance, never having a bankruptcy, never losing a property. My discipline, it also goes on to say my disciplined property selection. Very, very
Mr.
important.
Cardone, we will get there.
So
right now
I
on the
agree with
track
that.
record.
I agree with that.
And if we go to down just a little on this page 5 in bold, it says successful track record, right?
It says 30 years. That's not true. So that's false.
That's false.
Yeah, it's 40 years. It's not false. It's 30 of the 40.
It is not an option as a lawyer today to refuse to use AI.
There will be rules.
So this
It
response
should have been 40 years.
should say Grant Cardone has over 40.
I should have. I missed that. No, but you know what? It's not false because it says Grant Cardone has over 30 years. So my bad.
And it says, I'm just going to read what it says here. Prior to launching funds 5 and 6, Mr. Cardone had purchased over 40 multi-million multifamily properties comprising over 4,500 units with a total purchase price exceeding $650 million. Of those purchased properties, Mr. Cardone has sold approximately 24 of them by the time funds 5 and 6 were finalized. The amounts for which these properties were purchased and sold are reflected in numerous produced documents, including Cardone
The amount in which these properties
were purchased and sold are reflected in numerous produced documents, including Cardone Cap 00547-821, which is captured in relevant part below. As indicated in this and other similar produced documents, the properties were sold at appreciated values, often at significant durations. Often were sold at appreciated values, often at a significant premium, even when holding the properties for a shorter duration than anticipated for funds 5 and 6, correct? Okay. Let's take a look at the document that's cited in there.
Yeah, I love this.
Cardone Cap 00547-821.
Our worst performer was the first deal, the first property on the list.
Can you please mark this as Exhibit 232?
this have
It's 00547-821. 547-821. This is Exhibit 232.
I'm assuming all the choppiness in the video is like them editing out breaks and objections and things like that.
It doesn't matter. Yes, you can give it to the witness.
sit it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Thank you, Denise.
Now, this document here, I've printed it, but it's a spreadsheet that has 3 different tabs, and those tabs are separated by this blue sheet of paper here. But the first tab of this spreadsheet, it says prior and current portfolio as of February 20, 2020, right? Do you see that? Mr. Cardone, the exhibit is to your...
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here, though.
Yeah.
This right here.
Okay, but let's look at the actual exhibit itself. Do you recognize this document? Mr. Cardone?
Yes, I recognize this.
And it says prior and current portfolio as of February 2020, right?
Yes.
Are there any properties that are not included on this spreadsheet that Cardone Capital asserts supports your statement on April 22nd, 2019?
Are there any properties?
Mhm.
Yeah, there probably are.
What are those properties?
1117 Sheffield, Bel Air, Texas. 5422 Brayburn. Oh, sorry. You know, Denise, that's not right. 1117 Sheffield. S-E-F-F.
Bel Air, Texas.
Bel Air, Texas. I think the purchase was 1983. Put $3,500 down on that piece of property. Then there's 5422 Brayburn, B-R-A-E-B-U-R-N.
And where was that property?
Yep. There would also be, this is so good, 6450 Camino de la Costa. 4 words. 50 Camino de la Costa. Put no money down on that one and made $6 million. That's in La Jolla. There would also be, this not on this list. What's the ad? 141 Oriole Drive, Los Angeles, California. I'm just working off of memory here, Morgan.
I understand.
That property we made like $11 million on. And let's see, am I missing anything else? I think that's it.
Okay. So, Mr. Cardone, you said 1117 Sheffield.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
5422 Brayburn.
Yes, ma'am.
6450 Camino de la Costa.
Yes, ma'am. I think that address is right.
Okay. And 1401 Oriole Drive,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Are those all single family properties?
They are. But they were used as rentals.
For the record, I think it's Oriole, like the bird, not Oreo, like
Oriole.
cookie.
Yeah, Oriole. O-R-I-O-L-E.
Like the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
And are these all properties that you had purchased and sold by the time that you were fundraising for Fund 5?
What year was, yes. Yes, absolutely. By the way, a lot of people get their start in single family, Morgan, as you might know. And that's where I got my start, buying small single family homes.
Okay. Let's start on this second page here after this blue sheet.
She's like,
This is a tab of the spreadsheet titled Prior Properties.
Mm-hmm.
Were these investments all fully realized by the time Fund 5 closed?
Would they have been fully realized? Because I don't have dates here, but we would have these dates. 2020, 2009. This is a different sheet, right? One's February 2020 and the other one's June, almost 8 months earlier.
Yeah. So these are properties that would have been fully realized by the time Fund 5 closed in September 2019, right?
I'm not sure about Huron Point, Realm. I'm sorry.
Yes.
As I sit here right now,
One second.
okay,
Go ahead. I'm not sure about.
I'm just, the first three, I was just mentioning the first three, those, I'm not sure about
Okay.
these three
Okay.
right here.
You're right.
Okay.
So I'm not, Morgan,
Yes, you can write on that.
I forget the closing date of Huron Point, Realm, and I'm not sure what year the Tennessee portfolio happened, but I would think that they had already happened.
Right. Because the date of this document says as of June 30th, 2019, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Different than the previous.
And these are all investments that you held for 2 to 6 years, right?
No, that's not true.
Mr. Cardone, there's a column here that says years held.
Yeah, I see that.
There's one property here that says 1.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
but everything else is 2 to 6 years, correct?
Yeah. There's another one in here that was only held for 3 months.
Which one is that?
That would be, what was the name of it? I went blank. That's not on here.
Okay. Well,
Hold on. Oh yeah, there it is.
which one?
Yeah, Montelena. The last one. I had that property 3 months and I made $4 million. So it was 100% return made in 90 days.
That's pretty good.
Okay. So it says here,
That's 30% a month.
it says here years held for the Montelena property was 1.5. Is
Yeah.
that inaccurate?
That's inaccurate.
Okay. So
You could tell when he's impressed with himself. Obviously, he kind of like leans back, looks down. If he had glasses, he would be looking over his glasses and like he starts grinning. But like $4 million on a property is kind of crazy. That's a good ROI. This is probably why he started really pushing, getting into multifamilies and working his way to the fund. This is kind of what he's trying to explain. But I'm not sure now is the time to explain it. I think his lawyers have to do the heavy lifting. And what he doesn't want to do is give away too much to the, from a strategy standpoint, I'm thinking, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just thinking like, why would you want to give this much strategy away to the plaintiff?
So it should be 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we state that in all these documents that we sent out that not everything had been audited or should not be depended upon as exactly accurate. And we do our best to make sure the data, but we're human beings too. So that was off by, it actually got better, not worse.
The spreadsheet includes the name of the investment, the location of the investment, the total units, the total acquisition cost, and the sales price, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This doesn't contain any information about what the operating costs were of these properties, right?
You're exactly right. In fact, the profit showed here. Doesn't it show it on the other one though? Yeah. See, the previous one shows our costs going in and what we sold it for.
That's right.
That's the one that shows the unbelievable profits on recorded properties.
Profit.
All these are documented, by the way, by the city and state and county that they're located in.
Well, what I'm trying to understand, Mr. Cardone, is it has the acquisition price and the sales price.
But you said,
And it
it
doesn't
doesn't
say-
include the operating costs.
Correct.
Yes, and it shows the profit and it shows how long we held it. But what it doesn't show is the cash flow.
It also doesn't show the operating costs, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. But do you understand how operating costs works in a property?
Yes. It doesn't tell us whether there were any improvements that were made to these properties, right?
Well, it doesn't show you property taxes either.
Right.
It doesn't show you insurance costs.
Correct.
What's the point?
My point is that this spreadsheet, it doesn't tell us what the net profits were for any of these properties, right?
Sure it does. Look at the first page.
I am looking at that, Mr. Cardone.
Okay, good.
It tells me the acquisition cost.
Look, Margaret, we under promised to our investors and over delivered. And we have on every property I've ever owned. I've been doing this since I was 31 years old. I have under promised my family and over delivered on every single transaction. The Realm property, Boca Raton, we paid $12 million. They wrote articles up on me saying I had overpaid for the property. Mr. 10X had been 10X'd.
Law firm owner, your rankings might look fine, but your pipeline feels weaker.
Sorry, guys.
We sold it for $4 million. We made $4 million in 3 years. That's $1 million, 1.1 million a year, plus the cash flow. Plus we bought the debt down. Okay, so
Back looks down.
does it show that we power washed the property or we fixed the units? No, of course not. You would never show that.
Mr. Cardone, you are claiming, and Cardone and Capital is claiming, that the performance of these prior properties support your statements.
No,
No, you're not
it
claiming that.
exceeds any statement I've ever publicly made.
Okay,
Every one of these transactions.
I understand. However, there's no information that's been produced about what the costs were of these properties, what the net profit of these properties were.
Morgan, again, you guys don't understand real estate. Like I can't even believe you guys took this case. These are the net profits short of cash flow and short of tax deductions and short of the destruction of money. So this is showing you I made $356 million of profit on those deals before cash flow, before write-offs, before tax advantages. It's right there. I don't even. Y'all need a real estate department if you're gonna bring a professional in here. I know you guys hired a professional, and you can audit all this, do all the auditing you want on it. You're going to see the numbers turn out to be the numbers, but they're going to be better than the actual numbers because this does not show the true benefits to our investors, which would be 3 other things if you care about them.
Mr. Cardone,
Do you?
if we wanted to understand what the costs were of operating,
I'm telling y'all, like he is doing too much, and I'm not sure if I think it's gonna come back to bite him. It might, like later, like they record all this stuff. They look for little cracks, man, and the more he tries to explain and justify, the worse. Because like his lawyers could just come back and ask him very pointed questions so he can get out like kind of like the good parts. Like you don't want to like say something and then all of a sudden they take what you say and then take it wholesale and then now they're adding in a bunch of other stuff. An inference, because like once it gets in front of, he's explaining to her, she doesn't care about his explanation. She just wants to answer her question because now once it gets to the jury, now the jury, like they're going to be in front of a jury ultimately, and like there's going to be more that needs to be said, like and they like this framing can be dangerous, right? Especially if he takes the stand in this case.
These properties, including things like taxes, as you said,
Yes.
and to understand
Taxes,
what
Morgan?
your net profit
Who
was.
pays, Morgan?
Mr. Cardone, I'm asking the questions.
Okay.
If we wanted to understand what Cardone Capital's net profit was from these properties and what the cash distributions were
Yes.
from these properties, what could we look at because it's not in this document?
You would have to pull the taxes filed of each one of these properties.
Mr. Cardone, do you have those records?
I file taxes with IRS. I've been audited 4 times, won all cases. So
Could you produce those documents, Mr. Cardone?
would I produce the documents on these?
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't think that. I don't know how these have anything to do with the case.
Well, Mr. Cardone,
Nobody made a decision to invest in these new assets based on what I've done in the past. The circular even says past performance has nothing to do and should not influence your decision.
so you'd agree past performance is completely irrelevant to the statements that you made? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not. My past performance is the thing that I rely on. My ability to make a good decision, pick a good asset, be able to predict with some certainty what future rents look like. Will that asset be a good location in the future? 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, or if I have to go longer. This is what I relied on, my experience doing this. When I started doing this, I did not have this experience. For me to deny, in this case, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, another 28 positive experiences. You know how much I learned here? This is $1 billion worth of practical education. And so you think I'm not going to rely on that? Of course I am. Now, the investor should not rely on my past performance in order to make a decision, but I have to. And also, let me say that when I'm buying properties, Morgan, the fact that I did these 24 transactions that you see listed here successfully, without a forbearance, without a bankruptcy, without a loss, also positioned me to be able to buy the assets that are contained in Fund 5 and 6. Because without this experience, this very in-depth experience, and this track record, I wouldn't be able to get the asset and I wouldn't be able to acquire the debt.
Mr. Cardone, you agree that this chart here doesn't give us all the information we need to understand the investments that you assert in interrogatory number 9 supports the factual bases and assumptions that were made in connection with your assertions that investors would walk away with a 15% annualized return, right?
If you can do basic math, it gives you everything you need to do. Like basic, I'm talking 5th grader math right here. You take the number of years, you divide the profit by the number of years, and you will see returns here 130% a year, not 15% annualized or internal rate of return. So yes, this contains everything you need in order to say, you know what, Grant Cardone is an experienced, seasoned real estate investor with a history of exceeding his predictions.
Mr. Cardone, the spreadsheet gives me the sales price and the acquisition costs. Are you saying that if I subtract the acquisition cost from the sales price, you took home all of that, 100%?
That's what I'm saying, Morgan.
Okay.
Morgan, we make a lot of money here. Okay. If you hold real estate, exit.
When he does his like diatribe thing where he goes off and he kind of redirects, he's trying to like frame it for himself. Like she's just going to go back to the question she wants. And it's one thing I've learned because like I've been into the whole, like, I guess you call it true crime, but like watching trials over the last, I would say like 5 or 6 years. I've watched probably a dozen trials over the last 5 or 6 years, maybe more, maybe like 20. And like, with legal commentators and everything. And what I've noticed is these lawyers, when they ask questions, they generally ask questions and they will let you do your dance and like extrapolate and monologue, et cetera, but they'll just come back to, they'll, at the end of all of that, they'll just come back to their question. And the problem is, like, in front of a jury, it just looks evasive. I think it really, really does. It looks like you're trying to like skirt the fact. So if this goes to trial, and if he takes a stand, I think that he's better off just keeping it like CEO style, shorter answers, don't defend himself, and let his lawyers ask the questions. That's what I think. Again, I'm not a legal expert, so who knows?
At the appropriate time, you're going to make money. Almost everybody knows that, by the way. If you just hold the real estate, it's why real estate is the largest asset class on planet Earth, bigger than gold, silver, bonds, money markets, and the stock market.
Can you calculate IRR using the information in this spreadsheet?
I can. Can you?
Tell me how, Mr. Cardone.
Well,
IRR with the information that is in this spreadsheet.
yes, I can.
Can you explain?
You take the cash flow plus the exit, add the cost of money, and you'll come up with your IRR.
Where is the cash flow represented in this document?
Well,
Mr.
I mean,
Cardone?
I know the cash flow. So I could take cash flow out, by the way. I don't need cash flow in this to hit a north of a 15. I would be in the, if you take, let's take random Camelot. See it? $3.5 million, $70,000. We put $750,000 down. I put $750,000 down. I had, I think, one partner on that deal, maybe two. We made $4,750,000 on that deal.
Which property are we looking at, Mr. Cardone? Camelot?
I'm looking at Camelot.
Okay.
Okay. I put $750,000 in. I made $4 million. I'm doing this just basic. $4,800,000 was the profit divided by $750,000 equals 640% return. 6.4 multiplier. If you divide that by the time I own the property, 3, that means I make 213% a year. I don't need to even worry about my cash flow. By the way, my cash flow is plus. So this is what I tell you. I under-promised our investors, and I crushed it. I over-delivered. So now if you need to get down to some formula to figure out 15, I'm at 213% a year. I don't need to add the cash flow to say I achieved a 15. Every single one of these, by the way, will achieve something north of a 15, except for one, Heron Point.
HERON.
Mr. Cardone, what does annualized return mean?
And can I just cover the Heron Point exception?
No,
I don't want me to.
No, not today.
Okay.
What does annualized return mean, Mr.
Annualized return is different than internal rate. And I like the ARR better, by the way. The reason I like the annualized better for my investors is because they're in it for a longer period of time. Typically, your short fund, Blackstone, Starwoods, KKRs, Carlyle, Denise, they will use, these are Wall Street institution. They'll use a short term, Morgan, because they want to exit the property faster so they can achieve their fees. I would prefer to use an ARR because I think it's more representative to the investor. You put $100,000 in, you got $150,000 out. That would be considered an ARR plus your cash flow. Now, some people like to use adjusted for inflation.
Mr. Cardone, I'm going to cut you off for a second
sure.
because you're going far past my question now.
Okay.
Is annualized return the same thing as ARR?
No.
Okay. So when you say in interrogatory number 9 that investors would walk away with a 15% annualized return, you're not talking about ARR, right?
Yes, I am.
You are. So
That's what it says.
it says,
What does that say right there? AR, it says annual rate of return. Annual.
Mr. Cardone, I just asked you,
Yes.
is annualized return the same thing as
I
ARR?
said, no, it's not.
And you said no.
Yeah.
That's A, right? And
then you
in
said,
this statement,
you read
you said walk away with a 15% annualized return.
That's right.
And now you're telling me that annualized return here means ARR. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm telling you.
Oh.
That's what it means. It doesn't mean anything else to anybody else. So there's an IRR and there's an ARR. And this whole conversation started with you asking me about a video that I shot in 2019, I think. And that video was an instructional video about achieving what the common man, which I consider myself the common everyday guy, the common man would use an ARR, and a big sophisticated bank would probably use an IRR.
Okay. So I want to be clear. You, Mr. Cardone,
Yeah.
you testified that annualized return does not mean ARR.
Yes, it does.
Okay, now
does mean-
so you
Okay, from a business perspective, ARR, it means a couple things. It could mean annualized rate of return. It could also mean annualized recurring revenue, depending on the business type model. But like, let's just say for the case of this specific, like the use for this specific case, ARR or annualized rate of return is basically what your return on your investment is on an annual basis. And it's usually, he's not wrong about that. It usually is the better way to measure the success of a investment that spans multiple years, especially if you're holding it for a long time. So if you're planning on getting a, let's call it 50, 60% return on your investment in like 5 or 6 years, and you invested, let's say $500,000, you're planning on getting back $750 in 5 years. An annualized rate of return is actually appropriate to use on an annualized basis, given the time horizon of that investment. If it's shorter, then you can use a different return metric, but longer, it's perfectly fine to use AR. Like, I don't know what this whole back and forth dance is between him trying to like obfuscate about whether it says ARR or not, or whatever the case is, but just like, this is low hanging fruit to not get stuck on, in my opinion.
You are saying that annualized return
That's
means
what I said
ARR.
the first time. I never said it didn't mean that.
I said, is annualized return the same thing as ARR? And you replied, no. Correct?
No, I didn't say
That's
that.
not
I
what you
said
said?
yes, ARR.
Excuse me. Can you please read back the testimony that Mr. Cardone gave right after minute 32?
ARR, I said, is not the same as IRR.
No, that was not my question.
Okay. But then I misunderstood your question.
Okay. So it is your testimony that annualized return and ARR mean the same thing.
Annualized return
Yes.
and
ARR mean the same thing. That's your testimony.
yes, it is an abbreviation for annualized rate of return.
He must have thought she said IR.
Morgan, I think the issue is just that he misheard.
I understand. I understand. I'm just trying to get clarity on what the answers are here. Okay. Mr. Cardone, these properties that are in Exhibit 232 that were the fully realized investments down here, these were not part of an equity fund, right?
You said the Foley.
The fully realized investments.
Yes, they were. Sorry.
They were
Good
part of an
try.
equity fund.
Of course they were. They had subscription agreements and members. The Howard Tenenbaum invested in Wilma Vista.
Okay. Let's slow down. Let me ask a question and you can respond to it.
But you did ask a question and I was answering.
Okay.
Second, please.
Yes.
It's becoming very conversational.
Yes. For how many of these properties were you the only investor?
I don't think any of them.
How many of these properties had more than 5 investors?
I don't know. They all had investors. They all had subscription agreements. They were all partnerships.
Did any of these properties have more than 10 investors?
Maybe. I'm not sure right now. So I sit here.
None of these were properties for which you had thousands of investors, correct?
No.
Okay.
They weren't big enough to support 1,000 investors. They were smaller deals.
What is,
No, bro.
There's a difference between project IRR and investor IRR, right, Mr. Cardone?
I don't ever use that term or rarely use project IRR. I don't even know if I've ever heard it. Actually.
The overall IRR for the project is different than what the investor IRR is, right?
Not necessarily.
We'll come back to that.
That, you know,
Mr. Cardone,
okay.
Can you please tell me where the
Oh my
Fund
gosh.
5 and Fund 6 properties are located?
Where they're located?
Yes.
Sure. 10X Delray is located in Delray is located in Delray. 10X Addison. By the way, the 10X Delray property, we're probably up, we're way over the 15 right now on that.
Mr. Cardone, my question here is really simple.
10X Addison is in Naples, Florida. Unbelievable location. Phenomenal. Pristine, perfect real estate. 10X Sawgrass is located 30 minutes right from here.
All right, so that's part one of the deposition with Grant Cardone. I'm going to save this here, and then tomorrow I'm going to come back to it. So I'm going to save this, and tomorrow we're going to come back to it. We're going to go back live again at 1 o'clock. We're going to continue on. So this might be I don't know, a 2 or 3 parter, but my overall impressions of this deposition is he is explaining too much. He's keep his answer short, like I previously said. Don't get caught up on little bugaboo things. If the lawyers don't really know what the terms are, no need to demean them. All that stuff can come back, right, to haunt them, I guess. So just be careful about what he does. I think when it comes to like how he deals with them, and it will be all right. I know he hates this, obviously, which is why he's biting back, but keep it simple. All right. Thank you for watching with me. Tomorrow we will continue on with the deposition of Grant Cardone, and we're just getting started. All right. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Take care.